Gotcha. Well, hello there. My name is Juan Ramos, and today my topic is driver's license. My claim was that increasing the age limit to obtain a driver's license will create a safer driving environment. To support my claim, I will be talking about how increasing the age limit to obtain a driver's license will cause the less car accidents, and then as well as a more responsible group of drivers out there. To get a little bit of background, maybe like you're able to get a license at 15 by just taking some little classes, getting a permit, and then at the end of the thing, your parents sign something saying you're allowed to go get your license. If you don't want to go through that route, you just wait till you're 18, and then you just go to the DMV, you wait there, take your test, and hopefully you pass. And then, but what we do know is that automotive accidents are the leading cause of death between the ages of 19 through 15 through 20 something. Going back to my first point, that is that increasing the age limit will cause less car accidents, is that a source called, an article called the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention states that in 2013, 2,163 teens in the United States ages 16 to 19 were killed, and 243,243 were treated in emergency departments for injuries suffered in motor vehicle crashes. That means that 16s ages between 16 to 19 died every day from motor vehicle injuries. Young people ages from 15 to 24 represent only 14% of the U.S. population. However, they account for 30%, which is $19 billion, of the total cost of motor vehicle injuries among males, and 28%, which is $7 billion total cost of female accidents. What this all is saying is that, what I'm trying to get to the bed is that these accidents could be denied if they were more responsible. They get their license at a young age, meaning that they're more reckless. They're in a high school environment, which is usually like parties. We're gonna go out Friday nights and drink, or they're into like drinking and stuff. That's why they're in more car accidents, and they're immature. And then that leads me to my second point, which makes me a more responsible group of drivers. They're in urmc.rochers.edu has an article named "Understanding the Teen Brain," which has been reviewed by several doctors, that states that a person's brain is not completely developed until the age of 25. Adults think with the prefrontal cortex, which is the part of the brain which stimulates whether you're doing things rightly and think long term. Teenagers' brains aren't developed by the age of 16 or 19. Not even mine right now, currently, is not fully developed, so there you go. But, it gives them the option, but then this is why we should raise the driver's license, because kids my age or kids younger than me who have a license don't actually think of the long term. They don't think, maybe what if I get in a car drunk? What if I hit someone? They don't actually think of the consequences of, I can go to jail, I can get my license suspended. They don't think the way ahead of the plan. In order to get more understanding of that, and then people, as they get older, they get wiser, and then they have to pay attention. The more you drive, the more attentive you are to the streets. Like, oh, that car's about to cut me off. Oh, that car's about to stop. Overall, I just want to conclude by saying that I believe that we should increase the limit to get a driver's license, because it will cause less automotive accidents between teenagers, and that it will create a more responsible group of drivers. Thank you.
Less traffic too.
That's true.
All right, Juan, I think you started off well with a clear statement of the proposition. When you're previewing the secondary points, they need to be more clearly declarative sentences. I think the first one is almost a declarative sentence. The second one is hard to pick out, and at the end of the speech, like I've mentioned to a couple of other people, I do think that in your summary it's a little bit clearer the point that you're trying to make. But at the beginning of the presentation, it should be as well. And it's not that complicated. You were making this argument. It says increasing the driving age would produce these benefits. It would be, it'll create a safer environment. Number one, increasing the driving age will decrease the number of accidents. Number two, it'll increase the number of responsible drivers. I'm not sure how important those differences are, but at least it's clear when you say it that way that those are the two supporting points. You did signpost them during the speech, so I appreciated that. I could see that you were trying to keep things organized. I think there's a whole bunch of assumptions on each of these points. There are some assumptions that need to be developed a little bit more to make your argument seem more valid. For example, you make this claim about the environment that young people are driving in. They're all partying on Friday nights and Saturday nights. They're all reckless. So on and so forth. And I don't hear any evidence on that. I don't get any examples except this hypothetical, very vague hypothetical example that you were suggesting. And I think that that's problematic. I think there might be some truth behind what you're saying. I'm not saying that that's not the case, but I'm saying it's unproven. It's mostly an assertion at this point. The evidence that suggests that maybe their brains are not developed, I thought that was a little bit more useful. It suggests that maybe there isn't this long-term thinking that's necessary. That also ties into the issue of them being responsible drivers. I think that point needs to be developed a little bit more, that people, when their brains are not fully developed, they don't think long-term. They don't consider additional possibilities. The consequences often elude them for their actions, that sort of thing. They perceive risks in a different way than somebody else does, and those are the causes of those kinds of mistakes. I think that would be a persuasive argument if you could provide some more examples and statistics on that. As it is, we've got a very general piece of evidence on brain development, and then you've just got the factual data on the differences in the number of accidents that are happening. The factual data is pretty straightforward. You've got percentages of people who are involved in the population versus the percentage of people who are involved in these kinds of accidents. That makes sense. We can see that pretty easily. The question is it because they are young? And we're going to talk about this when we talk about cause-effect reasoning, because this is going to be the response here. You're attributing causality to their poor driving to their youth, all right? Just ask anybody here, what do you suppose the response speaker is going to attribute the causality to the high frequency of accidents to? No? Experience. So in other words, you're making the argument that it's, their brains don't function, they are immature, and that's why they make the mistakes. And somebody else is going to look at it and say, well, they're just starting to drive. They make mistakes because of their lack of experience. So what's the evidence going to be that shows that they'll have that kind of experience when they're 20, 18, or whatever the age is that you were talking about, that sort of thing? I think you're going to need some better evidence on the point that you're making. The basics are all there. I think that you just need, like I said, you just make a lot of assumptions instead of providing proof for that particular point. You need to be a lot more convincing. It's not that it's bad, it's just that it's underdone. Underbaked, as they say. Underbaked, yeah. Which is not a drinking issue, that's a different issue. And usually that they're overbaked at that point.
Okay.